match number 1 is almost ready. Talking about these two teams, I talked about the 6 degrees of separation between the tied teams, but we have Victoria's Secret versus Top Tier. Now, when it comes down to logic, Top Tier should beat Victoria's Secret because Top Tier took out RBIS last week, because RBIS beat Victoria's Secret last week. Therefore, vicariously, Top Tier should be able to take out Victoria's Secret if they're able to take down that other team. But it's not always that simple. It's not how World of Tanks works. It's not how any competition works. Any matchup is almost like any given Sunday. Anything can happen. Victoria's Secret versus RBIS went all 5 battles. And even though RBIS was able to get the victory, from what we saw last week for Victoria's Secret, this is a team that if you camp, you are going to get punished for it multiple times. And if Victoria's Secret is able to utilize the amount of strategy in play that we've seen on Ruinberg in the past, be it the aggressive stance, pulling themselves all the way from the west to the east, or the defensive stance, waiting for their opponents to make a mistake, then that is the type of team that Victoria's Secret needs to be against Top Tier. Top Tier, type of play they need to bring here is what they brought last week. It's consistency. It's working with their strengths, maybe not trying to pull the most surprises or the most surprise card picks when it comes to tanks, but it's using the power of Alacio and his damage-dealing tanks. It's using the power of the T-32, and it's using the ability to keep their tankers alive when they're in trouble and then sweep across the map, be it open or more city, in order to get those wins, and that's what we saw last week. We're almost ready to throw into a face-off. Just need verification that both the team captains are ready. But Rookhill, do you have any quick predictions between Victoria's Secret and Top Tier?
Well, I do like the little bit of logic there saying, if these guys beat these guys, these guys beat these guys, then these guys, that ABC greater than. The thing about it is Victoria's Secret has kind of surprised me last week, their performance. So I feel like they have a lot of potential and momentum going into this one. However, Top Tier being one of the top teams, they don't surprise me anymore. So I feel like they're a top performer. They're always going to be up there and very skilled. Victoria's Secret could surprise us and kind of take something away from them. But this is going to be one of those matches that's going to be hard to predict.
This is more of a test for Victoria's Secret than it was last week, because they were up against Fun Gaming, a team that joined us in the qualifier, a team making their debut the same season as Victoria's Secret. So they went up against a team that had proven themselves in LANs in Russia, but had not proven themselves in the WGLNA for the Gold League. Top Tier is a different story. A team that joined us via the qualifiers last season, made it all the way to the finals, and performed very well. Top 4, actually. And so if Victoria's Secret can go to, let's say, I'm not saying they have to win, but if they can go to 5 battles against Top Tier, and if Top Tier is playing their best game, then I feel Victoria's Secret has long been overdue to join us in the Gold League based on their performance.
Definitely. I think it's a little bit closer than that. I think there's a potential for Victoria's Secret to take it and get those 3 battle wins. It's a matter of what will they do on Steps. Steps is a map we haven't seen a lot of action of. We've actually only seen 2 real battles on Steps the entire season thus far. That's, of course, 4 match days. But neither of these teams, I don't think, has actually played on Steps. So that's going to be the point at which one of these teams is prepared better. They know their opponent better. They understand the map better. And they can get that little bit of momentum to start the match that way.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the rosters so you guys can get to know these players a little bit better. But looking on the side of Victoria's Secret, there's one man I'm going to be watching, and that is Conflict, the Shoveler, who performed very, very well in the last week against Fun Gaming, especially in that 1390 on Ruinberg.
Yeah, that was some really heads-up play from Conflict, just understanding that he needed to make a little bit of a counter push, try and make himself a bit of a problem, a nuisance, as a light tank should, and get into the backfield and make it so he's just, you can't deal with something like that, especially a light tank on a map full of heavy tanks where you don't have the mobility, you have the hit points maybe, you have the firepower, but if a 1390 is outmaneuvering you, there's almost nothing you can do about it.
Speaking of in the backfield, E63M6 on the side of Top Tier in that 5100, that's one to watch out for as well. And also, Alacio, if he's in a T32, I want to see how much damage he does per game. Well, that's some of the predictions that we have, but there's some rules when it comes to victory. Rookhill's rules. Rookhill, detail what these teams need to do to get the win.
Gladly. First is be just as bold. I think Victoria's Secret needs to be just as bold as Top Tier. Top Tier brings some crazy lineups. They also bring some crazy strats. Maybe Victoria's Secret could match them. And they did last week. Can they do it this week is my big question. I encourage them to do that. Second is bulk up. Top Tier loves to bring heavy tanks. They love that T-32. They love that IS-6, especially on mines. I'm not as big a fan, but the thing is, when they bring a lineup like that, it has so many hit points, so much firepower, and so much armor that if you bring an incredibly light lineup, you're going to be countered out, especially if they can get in your face. And we haven't seen a team really flex properly with light tanks yet. You could do that. Bulk up or get out of the way. Third is keep it in check. I know Victoria's Secret is feeling pretty good. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Gotta have some confidence, but there's a level above that, a line you can cross that gets you right into some trouble. Victoria's Secret should avoid that this week.
Yeah, it's you have to prepare every team differently. Mm-hmm. You have to. If you say, hey, this worked really well last week, let's do the exact same thing, you're going to lose out a couple more battles compared to last week. You could still win the match, but you've got to calculate and prepare for every single team you go up against. First map is going to take place on Steps, the map of the week. It's time for match 1 to begin. Rookhill, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, I'm looking at a Pershing, a T-69, 3 1390s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams for the side of Top Tier. For the side of Victoria's Secret, it looks like they've got a Pershing, a T-69, 2 1390s, and 2 T1s. They may have neglected to ready up, but it sounds like they actually have a disconnect.
Yes, it's unfortunate.
It happens from time to time. Technical difficulties on the sides of the players. We'll head back to Garage, and once everyone is set back up, we'll head right back into the battle. Apologize for the delay.
Okay, let's talk about the Pershing.
Okay.
All right, one of my favorite tanks. The T-32 is actually based off the Pershing. It's just bigger.
So is the T-34, the American one. Yeah. Not the. Don't confuse that with the Russian one.
The prototypes. The T-32 and the T-34 never saw combat. They were prototype tanks. Pershing did, the M26 Pershing. It's a beautiful tank. I've seen it in real life. I've been on top of one, and it's one of the most intimidating tanks I've ever seen. But also, the history of this tank, it was used more in the Korean War, but it really couldn't handle mountains as well as some of the older tanks. So they retrofitted some of the M4 Sherman, Jumbo Shermans.
Yep.
And some of the, I don't know if they used any of the Easy 8s, but the Jumbo Shermans they used to retrofit some of the guns because it had better traction, you could say, or flotation, as the Chieftain would say, when it came to the type of terrain.
Yeah, America learned about those advantages of the M4s when they were fighting in the Pacific.
Yeah.
And they discovered that, wow, this tank was actually pretty well suited. It did have its problems because, of course, you know, when you're fighting around islands with tanks, you got soft ground. Tanks usually have some problems, but the Sherman was pretty small. And as a medium tank, it fits well in a lot of different terrain.
And also, there's so many of them, too. So when one broke down, parts were easier within context of any type of warfare and logistics compared to some of the over-engineered, you could say, German tanks. And that's where the Sherman had a lot of its strengths when it first entered the war, especially in a lot of the campaigns in Africa. But once the Germans and Axis powers started to beef up the type of tanks they were designing to stop the Shermans, that's where more escalation had to happen on either side. Yep. And that's where you see the technology within World of Tanks, the tiers, the tanks getting better and bigger and bigger, more damage, more armor. Fascinating. Fascinating.
You actually just reminded me of an article I was reading about the T-34-100, the Russian T-34 that they've put T-30-45, so think about that turret. But they put 100 mil on it. And in World of Tanks, we used to have a T-34 with a 100 mil on it, but it was removed. And the reason that was, I think, was because when they put the 100 mil on a T-30-45, it didn't pass trials. It didn't work. Yeah. So they tried to do that to match the Germans.
Yeah, and it just didn't work out.
No, sometimes that happens.
So, yeah, I mean, the chassis that you have on some tanks can't handle some of the guns that you want to use to penetrate your opponent's tanks. All right, here we go. Steps has been loaded up. All the players are here. Rookhill, let's try this again. What do we have for tanks?
For tanks, we have a Pershing, a T-69, 3 1390s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams for the side of Top Tier. Victoria's Secret has brought a Pershing, a T-69, 3 1390s, and 2 T1 Cunninghams. It looks like everyone is now here. No disconnects yet. And for the opening strat, it looks like Top Tier is going to be heading to the east from the north side. Not a bad plan. Matters if Victoria's Secret is going to join them on the east or is going to go to the west.
Most of them are heading west, following Rummy, who's in the front. Behind him is Conflict. Last time we saw him in the 1390 on Ruinberg, he was the Shoveler. takedown fun gaming. Disruption, Serenity will be falling behind him. Checking in the T1 positions. Floppy Giraffe is up in the mountainside, close to the flag cap.
It looks like he's having some trouble, actually.
He'll get in there. He'll get up there. He's the little engine that could. POW Mia, 81, is in the bush. He's going to be watching the east side, and nothing's going to be scouted for quite some time, since you can see on the minimap the top tier is favoring the northern section. But now we're seeing some movement from Victoria's Secret on the west. Tyler Durden is pushing across past the No Man's Road. He's going to be bringing up the rear of all the Tier 8 tanks that are in this position, as Disruption and Serenity, Conflict and Rummy. Rummy, the one that's really far ahead up here. He's next to the flag cap now in an offensive position.
Yeah, it's a really strong move from Victoria's Secret to be on their opponent's side of the map this early in the battle. And they may be able to contest the cap, but the defensive positions from top tier, I think, are a little bit too strong. However, they do have about even weighted lineups, actually mirror matchups, because Pershing, T69, 3 1390s on either side. In such a case as this, Victoria's Secret may be able to make their cross. They just have to figure out where all of the tanks from top tier are, and then they can close the distance. But right now, it would be dangerous for them to try this.
Disruption in the Pershing has moved past the railroad tracks, and he's pushing up closer to the flag cap. He could be in a hold down position that could begin an offense/defensive play. Defensively for Disruption, where he is, takes down Coolhammer in one shot, doesn't even stop for it. One shot fires coming out of top tier, misses towards Disruption, and he's going to move into a hold down position to cover the eastern play.
Wow, that is actually a very strong hold down position that we don't get to see used very often because of the lack of coverage from top tier. They're so far back across that hill, and they don't have anyone to the west of it, that no one can actually get shots on Disruption. And from here, he actually gets to use a lot of control and possibly abuse some of the positions of top tier. With that, Victoria's Secret could close the distance. Disruption could get some solid spotting, and if he can play the hill right, maybe a little bit of damage. Velatio is spotted by Disruption, and he will probably move to proxy spot him, keeping Disruption covered. And at the same time, going to be watching across the southwest, across the cap, to verify that Victoria's Secret is not going to be moving across the open ground in order to start that engagement. Top tier does not want that engagement yet. They are down to T1, but Velatio is starting to take some fire. It looks like 1 or 2 shells have bounced off his turret. Actually, looks like one of those may have actually connected with his gun, but did not roll for a crit.
Rummy was one of the tanks from Victoria's Secret that took the shot. Serenity 17 or Tyler Durden may have been the second one from behind. Velatio did pop up just in time for them to spot him, or at least Disruption had spotted him, but time enough for them to try to hit those shots. But the 1390s from so far away, not the most accurate of tanks. Rummy's going to head a little bit further inland, and so will Serenity 17 towards the flag cap. They're going to cross the No Man's Road. Serenity will be up top in the T69.
Disruption shaking 1 shell, going down a little bit. Velatio as well is taking a little damage traded back and forth. Explosionism looking out in his T69, may be able to shut down Disruption from this position. However, I'm waiting for Victoria's Secret to finally make the push in. They have the potential.
Rummy takes a hit, down 640. Velatio fires back. Serenity. Can't tell if he has been hit. So has Rummy again for 398. Serenity down 852. Big Black and Memory League took some hits on the other side from top tier. So did Velatio. Velatio at half health, 750 in his constant fire tank. Coolhammer still the only tank that has fallen. Another shot from Velatio towards Rummy to miss. And Rummy's going to fall back. Took a hit right on the side of his turret. That's got to hurt.
Definitely. Now a little bit of damage having been traded back and forth for everyone. I don't think we're going to see any big pushes coming out unless we see a T8 go down. Rummy could, but you still have Tyler Durden in Conflict also in pristine condition. Victoria's Secret could make the push in, leading with those 2 1390s, following up with everyone else. In the meantime, though, top tier, everyone is at least a little peppered, and Rude Awakening is taking some damage. Speaking of him, he goes down to Disruption.
Rummy Serenity in the same spot. Conflict has moved further up, though. Shot fired. Conflict has been hit. Still 816. 4 minutes, 26 seconds left in the battle.
Oh, Explosionism down to 671 hit points in his T-69. The hold down is pretty strong, but the thing is there's still a number of places that the T-69 could be penned in the turret, and it's working against Explosionism right now.
Serenity and Conflict are not going to fully push up here. Tyler Durden from far away, firing towards, looks like McBlack, but Rummy and Tyler, I don't think they were able to hit anything from that distance. Still firing towards McBlack. One goes into the dirt. Victoria's Secret has great map control. They still have one of their tier 1s down to the south to cover any type of flag cap pressure from top tier. That's also going to be a good indicator. If one of the tier 8 tanks does move to the south to go for that flag cap, that means Victoria's Secret will feel safer. Not the safest decision to make. Could be the best decision to make, though, based on that information. But would feel safer to push across towards the east.
Disruption's going up and over. He doesn't even care. And he's going right after Velatio, gets one connection. He's almost dead and finishes him with a ram, but it's a trade. Explosionism finishes him off.
Tyler Durden's push it up. E63M6, Memory Leak, Explosionism, and McBlack are going to be all together. Tyler Durden will be the first one in the fight if they're going to execute on this. And there's E63M6, and he could be caught completely off guard. Trying to get the track shot. They get it. Tyler Durden takes him out. Memory Leak pushes up against Tyler. Tyler down to 376. A big bounce out the front of Memory Leak. Tyler's going to continue to push up.
And now Memory Leak and Explosionism are just running all over each other. Explosion trying to get in to help out, maybe get a kill, even this up to put it back into the favor of top tier, but delay it a little bit, and he is able to pick up a kill.
Rummy falls, but Tyler's going to push up. Trying to bait these tanks out. It's going to be harder since they're in a hold-down position for the T-69. Memory Leak could sweep in from up top.
McBlack,
23 seconds.
McBlack is going to come around, and he appears to be loaded shots into the back. However, he's taking a little damage.
And Tyler falls. Serenity 17 is on his own. He needs to hold him for 10 more seconds, though. Another shot towards McBlack, and it's a miss. 7 seconds. Conflict pushing up to try to get the stop. 3 seconds left. Can Conflict do it? 2, 1. Explosionism tries to move up to get the shot from far away. Base has been captured. Victoria's Secret. Battle number 1 goes to them. Nice, aggressive play from Victoria's Secret. They were able to hold down that position from Disruption's angle, and from there control what had happened on Steps. A lot of people think, Steps, this is almost as bad as Abbey. Not true when you know the map. That's the same for Abbey. That's the same for Steps. Victoria's Secret had a plan. They executed on that plan. And I got to say, that push over by Disruption caught top tier off guard. Well played, Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, and just like I was talking about a little bit earlier, I think this map is going to be crucial because neither of these teams are considered to be especially talented at it yet. Of course, this could just be because we haven't seen that many battles on Steps. However, this gives them some momentum, and this gives me also a little bit of a thought that maybe Victoria's Secret might be the ones to take this, especially with a win like that.
Well, Disruption did 2,369 damage, the most damage done, and he was a consistent fire tank, the M26 Pershing. 12 for 16, 12 penetrations out of 14 direct hits. Shots fired, so he missed 2. Right behind him, Tyler Durden was 8 for 11. Conflict, 3 for 6. So not the best game out of Conflict, but Conflict kept the pressure on when it mattered most, and that was for the flag cap.
Yeah, I think the reason we see Disruption actually having so much damage is because he was in such a forward position in that Pershing. He was able to actually get up into a hold-down position, not but 10, 20 meters away from the closest enemy tank at one point, and he was able to get a little damage here and there where it counted. It was an alternate angle that members of top tier weren't unable to deal with or just failed to recognize was as big a threat as it was.
So when top tier was in the north side of the Eastern Valley, what was the best decision they could have made? Was it to hold against top tier's placement and try to sweep around another side? Because I felt that they stayed there for way too long.
Part of the big problem was that they lost their T1s. They shouldn't have lost those T1s like that. They needed to trade them out for other T1s or not risk them as much. But when they lost the first one, I thought that was maybe blind fire. I'm not sure. I think it was. It's a very common position for a T1. And after that blind fire, you have to learn that your T1s need to not be in a bush sitting in an incredibly common spot. They're going to be blind fired. That happens on Ruinberg a lot now. It's going to happen on Steps, maybe Prohorovka from time to time. You just can't let the T1s do that. You need a slightly higher level of play, or you're going to lose them out, and then you can't have the flexibility you would otherwise.
Well, the last map, Steps, was a more open map. The next map is going to take place on Ensk, a city-style map, even though the east is a little more open compared to the west. Rookkill, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, I'm looking at an AMX 5100 and 3 IS-3s, along with Velatio, of course, in an IS-6. On the other side, Victoria's Secret will have 2 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and everyone will have T1 Cunninghams.
Not quite a mirror matchup.
This is not a mirror matchup. This is not quite. This is pretty different. You may think
Alpha
that
Strike coming out of top tier is going to be the most difference.
It will be pretty nice. I like that they're bringing a lot of IS-3s, you know, Explosion, Sublime, and Memory Leak in those. And then Velatio gets to complement that in a way with its IS-6. It has great DPM. The penetration, I feel like, is lacking enough to the point where if you stacked up on IS-6s, like 4 of them, you'd actually see a huge performance decrease because of the potential for you to bounce that much. But players like Velatio seem to perform very well in it, and so they should play it as much as they would like, and he'll probably perform well enough, maybe even better than an IS-3.
Victoria's Secret moving past the Echo line into the Delta line. Rummy in the IS-3, Conflict, and Tyler Durden. Close. And they're going to push back a little bit here. They're not going to overexpose themselves past the Delta line, but they will hold this position at least. Take a look at the 5100 placement. We have Serenity 17 further back, and Disruption looking towards the 1 line. Floppy Giraffe first to fall. He was towards the keyhole position we saw earlier.
Wow, I'm going to go run over to where he died because I'm not sure he was spotted when he went down.
He was spotted earlier, but yeah.
Oh, I see now. Okay. What happened is he did back off from a keyhole position he was spotted at, and I think he may have been moving that direction when he went dark. Yeah. And so you got blind fire from top tier, which just connected so well. And that was, who was that from again? That was from Memory Leak.
In the IS-3.
Okay, I can see where he got. There's a keyhole just way off in the distance there. Very thin shot, good shot from an IS-3.
Rummy, second furthest northern tank. His battle buddy to his left was a little bit higher than him. Well, now let's switch. Tyler Durden's over to his left. He's going to fall back. Conflict is waiting around the corner for any tank that's going to push up against Rummy. They're feeling that dangerous and throwing caution to the wind. That's not the type of team that top tier is. East, completely barren.
Almost.
Both these teams. Well, northeast, there's one tank, T1.
Yeah, Rude Awakening in the T1. He's out there. Very, very far to the north. Almost off the map when you look up there. You can only see half of the little diamond. And he's going to take down some cover. Nice position. Not too commonly used in the WGLNA right now. And he's going to spend some time just taking down buildings. So he's got a wider range of view. The only concern you might need to have is that, of course, if he's firing, he's going to be more visible. If someone were out here in the east side, he might get spotted and taken down. But right now, he's probably confident there isn't, so he's just going to take down some buildings as soon as he's reloaded every time. Widen his view, allow him to spot people earlier and easier. Watch out for that cap fast.
Victoria's Secret giving up the position they had on the west and now moving to the south. Potentially a push to the east. 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Plenty of time for them to change it up. Pattern we've seen over the last number of seasons is usually at the 5-minute mark where these teams will be changing their opening, their initial battle plan, their initial strategy, and going for their backup plan. No tanks are spotted moving to the south. This is good for Victoria's Secret.
However, Memory Leak did get himself spotted for a moment, I believe. Rummy is spotted as he crosses in the south. And who must have... That Sublime Banana must have spotted him. Shots fired. Were there any connections? Nothing. No connections. Unfortunate for Sublime. He went for a blind fire through the cab after spotting Rummy, assuming other tier 8s must be coming as well. Maybe I can get a hit. Why not? You miss every shot you don't take.
Wayne Gretzky. Good quote. PMI 81 was firing a bit here. I think he was firing into the building or into some potential cover that could happen, but long-range fire going towards where Serenity 17 just was.
Yeah, that's Explosionism, Sublime, and is that Velatio as well, just sniping down, trying to find anything any hits they can. They've got the opportunity, so why not take it? And they are. Now, I'm going to return to a point I was going to make earlier. Rude Awakening. He's actually going to come into play. I didn't know if he would, but it looks like with Victoria's Secret's play right now, he may be a crucial tank to victory for top tier. Victoria's Secret, if they can't deal with him or don't discover him, may find themselves in a very difficult position as they will lose eyes. However, they already know that Victoria's Secret is going to the east. And they're going to flex. Okay, that's one way to beat it. A bounce onto E63M6. Actually bouncing on a 5100. Very unfortunate as it glances right off the front. There's an angle of auto bounce. Doesn't matter unless you have overmatch.
Shot from Rummy from far away. Did that one connect?
Nothing.
Negative. He's the one holding the railroad tracks in his possession to the south. Conflict is in the east, along with Disruption. Looking for long-range fire. There is none. Big bounce off the front of Rummy. He fired back towards Velatio. Looks like that one did not connect as well. And top tier is going to commit down the railroad tracks.
Velatio just throws a shot down, hits Dirt. Tyler Durden attempts to return. Not going to happen. Memory Leak and Explosionism are heading on their way down towards their opponent's cap. In tow, Sublime Banana, E63 hanging off way to the west, actually on the 5 line. Velatio will be backing up Memory Leak. 2 and 2 together. Let's see if they can make an engagement happen, if there's any spotting even. Conflict is lit. As a Rude Awakening is just going all in, Disruption may be able to take him down for free. Might not want to waste a shell, though.
Explosionism has been spotted. Takes a shot from Tyler Durden. Tyler falls back without any retaliation. Tree is fallen. They've seen that there's multiple tanks to the south. They've spotted most of them. Now Victoria's Secret's going to have to adapt. Tyler takes a hit. 693. Memory Leak is hit as well. Flag Cap still under pressure. They're needing some resets as Victoria's Secret moves closer in. They get one. They get another. But now it's down to 37. Palmania takes down Baztaz between the T1s. And looking at the HP values here, it's pretty close between both teams.
Oh, the Disruption, as soon as he gets a clean shot, I think he's going to be able to rip up tanks from top tier. Of course, if he doesn't go down first, 995 as he may be focused. Sublime Banana Explosions, I'm looking for him. Velatio holding off the left.
Oh, Rummy fires into the building, and Disruption falls from Memory Leak. No more cover is left, really, for top tier. They've got to get a couple more resets here. 8 seconds left for top tier to take this battle. Conflict's going to go in, and their one reset is accomplished. Velatio takes down Rummy. Conflict gets hit. 18 seconds left. Conflict, 452. Look at the HP share coming out of top tier. Only losing one tank here. Serenity in the 5100 trying to clean up. 6 more seconds left. Palmania takes down Rude Awakening. Sublime gets hit, but Explosionism takes down Serenity. 2 tanks left alive for Victoria's Secret. 5 tanks, all tier 8 still left alive for top tier. Tyler Durden takes a hit on the side, 311 HP. He's not going to survive this. Sublime Banana is going to push up, and base is captured. Top tier gets the win, tying up the series 1-1.
They also got all the kills right there at the end, so cap and kill. A double whammy for their performance on this second battle.
Double whammy indeed. Looking at the team score, Velatio, guess what, folks? Top damage dealer in the IS-6, 2,537. He was 8 for 16, though. That long-range fire trying to hit something across those train tracks.
Yeah, just for a large portion of the match, we saw those IS-3s just throwing shots out. I don't think accuracy is really a real measurement of these guys' performance this battle, as they were just shooting down the 5 line for a large portion of the battle, seeing what shots they could get. Blind fire. You know, just take the shots. Maybe you'll hit, especially if it doesn't cost you much of anything. It's just a little silver anyway.
Well, yeah, especially like consistent fire tanks. It makes the most sense to use those type of tanks. You don't want to do it as much, if at all, with your autoloaders. Because if you fire 3, then all of a sudden you're getting flanked. You fire 3 more, and it's not enough to take out the tanks. You're a sitting duck, especially in a 5100, for 50 seconds. Not a good time.
Yeah.
So that burst damage has to be calculated, has to be strategically used, have to know when to reload, when not to reload. And that's part of the beauty of playing World of Tanks at a competitive level, is because these professionals know how to work as a team and when to use those autoloaders and when to hold back. Speaking of autoloaders, E63M6 was 4 for 5, didn't even unload a full drum out of his tank.
Didn't have a chance to.
Didn't have a chance. It's all right. Still got the win. But the consistent fire tanks, the IS-3s, dominated.
Yeah, poor disruption, though. He looked like he was in such a strong position. When he got spotted, though,
You don't
didn't
know
even
how much
shot.
damage disruption did?
0.
You know how many shots disruption took?
0. Unfortunate. And
You
then
take out those 5100s, that's what happens. That's what happened. You have a clear shot towards getting that flag cap. Third battle is going to take place on Himmelsdorf between Top Tier and Victoria's Secret. Countdown is almost finished. Rukia, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, I'm looking at 3 AMX 5100s, 2 IS-3s for the side of Top Tier. On the side of Victoria's Secret, they will bring 2 5100s and 3 IS-3s. That little variation between two teams where you're going to see autoloader heavy on one side, alpha hit points on the other.
Well, this is a little bit different. This is different coming out of Top Tier because they were favoring the IS-3s before with only the 1 autoloader. Now they're using 2. Maybe they'll upgrade to 3 next battle, depending on where we go.
Very possibly, although I think this is not too far, out of the norm. There's 2 kinds of lineups we usually see. It's the 3 IS-3s, or you're going to go with 2. We rarely will see 4 IS-3s, and we'll rarely see 4 5100s. Just a little bit of choice, and I think it also is prepping for your opponent. Top Tier is bringing the 5100s to get ready for an attack so they can deflect it, and also they could just begin the engagement, and if they can do it right, they will get such a lead early on that they won't need the IS-3s to actually perform all that well. You're putting the weight on the tank you have more of. The IS-3s, if you have 3 of them, you're putting the weight of performance on them. 5100s will support it sitting in the back line, but when you have 3 5100s, it's hard for 3 tanks to support just 2. And so some of those 5100s are going to have to be more aggressive, take more shells, and just play at such a level that is very risky, but can also see very high performance.
Baxtaz is able to scout Tyler Durden as the majority of the Tier 8s from Victoria's Secret has pushed up to the north on the western side of the map. And Top Tier has not fully committed to the hill from their Tier 8s. And that means they can move into a more defensive position to stop Victoria's Secret from getting towards the flag. Victoria's Secret's option, they still have a Tier 8 that's really further south. Could explore pushing out through the courtyard and getting a counterflank from the south. However, he has got to be careful. That's why they're going to use these T1s to scout properly for them for the different avenues that Top Tier is putting their defensive tanks in.
Now, Victoria's Secret seems to have updated their strategy for Himmelsdorf. You saw when they played Fun Gaming, they did something very similar to this, taking the northwest and attempting to attack from the south. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see the same performance out of that, as Palmia is crossing in the open, and he goes down in the T1 to Explosionism, who is just sitting there, waiting and watching. Vallecio and Baxtaz also in the middle. Baxtaz being sure to watch the south so that Vallecio and Explosionism don't get cut off. Now Vallecio is watching the D-line. He does have Explosionism with him. 5100s are going to sit further back to the northeast just to overwatch that cap.
Conflict moving closer to the keyhole. Sees nothing from that position.
And nothing sees him.
So he could hold this defensively if they decide to go for the flag cap. But here's the problem. Whoever crosses this block faces multiple tanks looking this way to get the kill. Or could look that way to get the kill. Shot fired, it looked like, coming out of one of the Tier 8s from Victoria's Secret.
A63.
And Conflict's going to turn this corner. He doesn't see anyone trying to move up on to his front, so he's looking towards his right to see if he can get any shots to the south.
But Vallecio has taken 1 shell from Disruption, sneaking that shell right from Foxtrot 3 into Vallecio's side, into his engine deck. And with that, Vallecio is down to 1188. And spotted. They know he's there. Conflict won't make the mistake of going around the corner, but Tyler Durden will try and get a shot out. Vallecio has taken another shell. He's down to 777 hit points. Yet another 356. Conflict did go around the corner. Return fire will actually mess up Conflict as E63 seems to be moving in and Conflict will go down.
Yeah, he couldn't get that last shot against Vallecio. That was a really good type of play coming out of Top Tier to stop that type of danger from the north. But guess who's still in this keyhole? Serenity 17. And now 2 tanks are going to pursue him. He's going to be overmatched to the north. He is hurt. 800 damage is left on his tank. And now Top Tier has put their 2 T1s on the flag cap to the south. Victoria's Secret is in some trouble.
Yeah, that's Baxtaz, and they've just gotten Sublime Banana, just about 60 seconds, and they should have a victory. They just have to win the fight up north.
Tyler Durden, is he pushing past Rude Awakening? He is. Rude Awakening takes down Serenity, and Tyler is moving towards E63M6, gets the kill. So does Disruption, taking down Rude Awakening. And now Tyler's going to put his tank on the flag cap for a brief second, and will push further to the south as Velocio takes down Rummy. 13 seconds left. These tanks are not going to be able to make it. This is why you keep your T1s alive. This is the power of the T1s. And with 5 seconds left to go, Top Tier is going to take this.
Very well played. It is a pretty close brawl, though. Unfortunately, like you said, they're not going to be able to stop the cap. Memory League should be able to get the last shot on Tyler Durden unless he's reloading. Nope,
and base has been captured. That's it. Top Tier now leads the series 2-1. The eastern side of the map was completely open because of Victoria's Secret's call to move to the west. Was it a bad call? Not necessarily. But once they lost the T1 that was crossing through the courtyard to scout what type of tanks were on the D line, that's when it became a disadvantage for Victoria's Secret. And that's when Top Tier knew they could place those T1s to the south to get the flag cap, and no matter what type of pressure or defensive position that Victoria's Secret put themselves in, if Top Tier could cut it in half, cut the map in half, and place those T1s, GG.
Exactly. It's just a matter of starting a brawl exactly when you want to start a cap. The two of them are incredibly difficult to deal with. What are you going to do? You're going to send a tier 8 back from a brawl and make it a 4v5 unless you have some amazing, you're able to get the first early kill and then make it a 4v4. You're not going to be able to go back to your cap. Himmelsdorf is not a small map, not a big map. It's medium-sized, so it does take a little bit longer than about 30 seconds to cross back to your own cap, and then you have to deal with the T1. It's just not a good situation to be in. Victoria's Secret, nice strategy, unfortunately was unable to close out the T1s first before they started the brawl.
Top Tier one battle away from taking the series, but Victoria's Secret could come back, and this is a team that took the first game. But maybe we're seeing a pattern here. RBIS took battle number 1 off of Top Tier, and then Top Tier swept them. Victoria's Secret, the Silver League rival to RBIS, took battle number 1 against Top Tier, and this could be a sweep after that one loss for Top Tier to take the series. That would be quite an intriguing type storyline. We could see the Silver League players able to take battle number 1, and then after that, just falling apart to these teams.
Well, it does show at least that they've prepared well for the map of the week, which is, I think, a great place to get some momentum in the match. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like they could keep it going, as Top Tier is just too good to be, really taken aback by any kind of a loss.
We're going to be on Ruinberg. If there's one map that Victoria's Secret has been excelling on so far in Season 4, it is this map. Rukill, what do we have for tanks?
For tanks, I'm looking at 3 AMX 5100s, an IS-3, and a 1390 for the side of Top Tier. Victoria's Secret, 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, and a 1390. I'm watching out for Conflict. He was the real winner, I felt like, on Ruinberg last time. Let's see if he can do it again.
I'm going to follow Disruption, the 5100, the team leader, the captain. We will watch his approach, what side of the map they're going to be hanging out at the beginning. No one-line push happening yet.
Although Conflict, what's he up to? It looks like he may be on his way to watching the mid as a kind of maybe getting spotted by Explosionism, but it looks like Tyler Durden won't be spotted. Conflict barely avoiding the scout run of Explosionism. Those two scouts just not running into each other. Conflict going for the safer, more southern, safe one, whereas Explosionism takes the scout run suited for the north side of the map.
Well, there's a serious split between Victoria's Secret. We have Conflict and Disruption, Floppy Giraffe, and Palmia 81 all the way on the west side, while Tyler Durden and Rummy, along with one more tank that's with them here. Let me try to find him.
The strat I think they're going for is they're going to put cap pressure on, and once that happens, they'll bring in tanks from behind these IS-3s and the 1390, and they'll try and flank that out, because Top Tier's... Oh, that's actually the first step right there. Backstats goes down. But Top Tier's plan depends on Victoria's Secret returning to cap and going all in with that. Trying to 5v, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, Floppy Giraffe doesn't. He's a T1, so 3 tier 8s will be on the cap. No, only 2. Wow, only 2 tier 8s on the cap. while they'll see everything else coming in from the south. It's a clever trap. It depends on your opponent's reaction, though.
Serenity, Tyler Durden, and Rummy are the ones that have held closer to their flag cap, closer to their spawn off Hotel and Golf down the 6 and 7 line. Delta Village is occupied by Top Tier.
Now Conflict is going to cross. He gets himself spotted. Explosionism makes one shell just as he starts moving. Conflict down to 858 as he will cross to screen the cap pressure that will be put on by Disruption, Floppy Giraffe, and Palmia. And with that...
Look at Victoria's Secret's placement now as their tanks are going to move from the south up the 6 line. And they can get behind those tanks. They're going to focus on the flag cap.
They just have to make sure to get into good vantage points. If tanks from Top Tier can get into good cover or just go around the corner altogether, they may be able to overmatch this and completely counter this strat. However, Velatio has taken a good set of damage right off the start.
Conflict looking towards Explosionism, who showed up. Conflict at 550, Explosionism at 368. And they're close between the brawl here, and a big bounce off Conflict. Conflict takes down Explosionism, but then he falls to Memory Leak. 10 seconds left on the flag cap, but there's a reset.
And now Disruption, he bounced crucial shells needed to kill Velatio, and now he is down. He moved in an improper time, and now his T1 Backstas is down.
Floppy Giraffe is all alone here. The tanks that are into the south are just not there in time to stop Velatio from taking down Floppy Giraffe. There goes the aggression. There goes the flag cap that could happen for Victoria's Secret. Only 2 tanks remain now. I like the initial strategy, but Top Tier had such good... They had a net, you could say, in the TIE Fighter area ready for those tanks pushing across.
When they saw those IS-3s to the south, and actually I think a 5100 as well, they recognized the strat. And there was enough time for Victoria's Secret getting spotted to the point where they attacked that Top Tier was able to prepare. They knew what was coming. They realized the risk they had to take in order to stop the cap, the cost they had to pay. It turned out better for them. Velatio didn't die. I think they expected to lose Velatio to stop the cap. But because he lived, it made it all that much easier. And Victoria's Secret's other tanks that making another push just completely fell as well. I think this really worked out for Top Tier.
Serenity and Tyler Durden, last one's alive for Victoria's Secret, are leaving the flag cap spawn point from the south, heading towards the west. Serenity's hit. Heading towards the church for cover. This is a similar position Victoria's Secret was in, but defensively, with more points on the board compared to their opponent Fun Gaming from last week. Tyler Durden takes down Coolhammer. It's now 4 tanks against 2. Tyler Durden's getting destroyed on multiple fronts. He gets tracked, and he gets hit again. He's able to escape at least the initial volley of damage coming out of Top Tier.
And now they close in. Top Tier has so many tier 8s left alive. E63 is just moving on in. He's got full health. Why not? And the tanks, Tyler Durden and Serenity, are just so low that a few shells will finish him off.
And there goes Tyler Durden. Serenity 17 making the last stand between all the tanks and Top Tier heading his way. He turns towards E63M6. He gets hit from behind from Velatio. And Top Tier is able to take the series 3-1 in a similar fashion against RBIS. And I have to take a look at Velatio's score. How much damage did he do? Again, the top damage dealer in the IS-3, 6 for 11. He took so many shots, dealing 1,989 damage. Right behind him, E63M6, 8 for 8. Highly accurate. Memory Leak, 9 for 12. Rude Awakening, 3 for 5. And Explosionism, who got knocked out a little bit earlier on, 3 for 4. Well played by Top Tier.
And unfortunately, Disruption on the cap. I think that was really the tipping point when he made connections into an IS-3 that went into tracks or went into spaced armor. That was it. If he'd been able to make those connections and get the kill, and the strategy had worked out as it should have by Victoria's Secret, we would have seen a completely different battle. Ruinberg very well could have gone the other way, but it's just a few shells here and there that changed the entire course of a battle.
Well played by Top Tier once again, and Victoria's Secret showed some spirit, showed some good play, but that only happened on Steps, the map of the week. And I still look forward to seeing how they're going to compete against teams that have reached even higher when it comes to the Alpha divisions, such as Simp and Simple Tankers. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the next match of the night, C'est La Vie versus Fun Gaming. Stay tuned. You're watching the WGLN.